You're listening to the GoCast Network.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. I'm trying to hear myself, but maybe I should turn my microphone down too low. Here it is, Facebook Wars. With Carlos Rocky, myself, and Vince Don Vito, live from the John Lovitz Podcast Theater at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Listen to us live Mondays at 7 p.m. on thegocastnetwork.com. Subscribe to our weekly podcast on iTunes. Like us on Facebook at The Cyber Wars. Follow us on Twitter at The Facebook Wars.
Yeah.
I don't think your mic is on.
I don't know. I hear myself.
I can hear him. I can hear me. I can't hear you.
Can't hear me.
Good.
Oh, yell! There it is. It's on. Hello.
There you go.
Hey, everybody.
It's me, the Facebook Wars, Carlos Rocky. Call us, please. 818-850-7746. Our new time, 7 p.m.
Woohoo! Help the Facebook Wars grow. Subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And talking about friends, we've got two of them here.
Oh, that's
We have a Mexican-Italian woman
She is now.
and a bitter old comic. A young man.
Do they come in any other style?
No, they don't. Young ones that get TV shows with 5 minutes.
I got a new. I have a new dog, so I'm actually very
Happy for a moment.
very happy these days.
You're alive again.
Good.
Yes,
A puppy. Jimmy Dore and Steph Zamorano are with
Yes,
us.
nice.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome,
from
guys.
Hola.
the Jimmy Dore Show, and also comedy and everything else, which you can find at jimmydore.com.
JimmyDoreComedy.com.
JimmyDoreComedy.com or
Yes.
iTunes.
That's right, because some criminal took JimmyDore.com.
Some freaking criminal.
My old web guy.
Your cousin Jimmy?
No, my old web guy stole it and tried to sell it back for me at an inflated price, and I was like, "You piece of." Can I
Isn't
swear?
that
in there?
beautiful?
Can we swear?
Yes,
Yeah,
please do.
absolutely.
You piece of
Fucking
shit is what I'm saying.
Please, this is going to be only cursing tonight.
Only cursing.
Not
Okay,
by
good.
me. I'm
All
going
right, you.
to keep restrained.
There's not a jar big enough for Vince to fill. Or
First of all,
small enough.
this is a great idea for a show. I'm jealous that I didn't think of it. This is such a perfect idea.
Tell your web guy so he can steal it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. And the reason I thought of it is because we spend a lot of time fighting in the Cyber Wars, is our site on Facebook. But I used to waste a lot of time fighting people. And I figured I'll get Vince. We'll talk about it. I'll plant incendiary bombs and let people go nuts.
And you
which
turn
is-
it into something.
Yeah. Which
I
is
got
why
and I got sabotaged this morning.
Well, I found a...
Oh, really?
Oh, I hate. So we normally we've gotten smart enough that we don't jump in on each other's things because there's enough people to jump in and cause a fracas. It's kind of like a little Bugs Bunny thing. He lets the other characters fight. Well, he just kind of sings a song and eats his carrot. You know, everybody's happy.
Whittling and carrying on the
But
porch.
he said something today, and we'll get into it a little bit later.
It's our Take Debates
And
segment.
I
Couldn't resist.
I have such a fish hook in my mouth. It's so far in my mouth it can't get out.
It's an Al Pacino 3.
I can't wait to
Godfather
find
3
out.
lure.
Yep.
I try to get out.
And they pull me back in. So it was and I thought we would do dueling Tony Montanas tonight, but we're going to leave that one alone. Okay. So it's been a huge week for the country.
Yes.
We've obviously last Monday when we wrapped our show.
A week which started with Obama's fault, according to some people. The whole week started because of Obama. But let's just go.
Well, didn't Obama create Mondays according to you guys?
Absolutely. It's a Islamic holiday, Monday.
Just check. Monday.
Only socialists make Mondays.
That's right. Socialist Muslim basketball players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So anyways,
So
we
when we
had...
were leaving the podcast last week, we got noticed that there was this bombing at the marathon, and it affected, I would say it affected every American, correct?
I would guess a lot of them, most of them.
Absolutely. It resonated with the whole country. Did it affect us directly? It's hard to say. We all get fearful. There are people that respond to that fear differently. Some want to kill, and some want to say, let's remain calm. Patton Oswalt had a nice thing
Yes.
on Facebook
yes.
about, good will always take over. I happen to agree with some parts of that and maybe not others, but...
Well, what was your first reaction when we were leaving here on Monday and you heard?
I guess what I'm ashamed of is I'm used to the surreality of it. I'm like, oh, okay, here comes another fucking bombing. I wasn't shocked as much as I was with 9/11 because it hadn't happened in such a long time. Obviously, we had the Times Square bomber who almost did it. I believe that person used a pressure cooker as well. Probably not a good
He
one.
used a pressure cooker, but it was a Chevy, so there's a huge problem with the battery cables.
My reaction was, I'm disappointed, and I have to admit, as a liberal, I go, God, I hope it's a white guy, so
You're
we
a
don't get all
what?
this.
You're a liberal?
Yeah.
And did you hear he said God?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, all at
He's
once.
invoking the name of God.
My gods, though, it's George Allen, or not George Allen. That's a football coach, a racist. George Allen Jr. was the other George Allen was a nice guy, Redskins coach. No, but George Burns, he was God, that kind of guy.
Gracie Allen.
God, Gracie, yeah, Gracie. But my reaction was, yeah, I have to say, only because I hope it's a white guy because I don't want the xenophobia of all Muslims. Hey, the guy actually is Caucasian.
Ta-da.
He is Caucasian.
Well, how do you
Carlos,
figure...
I'm right there with you. Yes, I wanted it to be a white guy, as horrible as that sounds.
I'm sorry to disappoint you guys, but it happened to be another Muslim. Unfortunately, and that's a whole...
He is white. He is a white Muslim.
Oh, but
He
he's a
is
little
Cau-
brown.
He is Caucasian.
He's a-
Did you see CNN described him as Middle Eastern skin complected? What the hell is that a thing even? That's not even a
We're
thing.
darker. We're darker. Everybody here
I've
is.
never checked that
Middle
box.
East, you mean like Jewish or Middle East? Like that's what there's, or like Italian? I mean, there's all kinds of, what does that mean?
Right, like I actually want to get into that. Semitic people are not
Well,
just Jewish.
and that's one of our posts about Peter King, the
Yeah, so we
Republican
can get to that.
representative. So we have that actually as something that we're going to touch on.
How did it
today.
resonate for you guys when you heard the news?
Steph?
Just for me, I didn't want to think it was a Middle Eastern. I didn't want it to be any kind of terrorist. I wanted it, I was just hoping that it was just this random act of violence that wasn't embedded in any kind of, I don't know, religious
Agenda.
zealot or a crazy person. I don't know.
Yeah, religious zealotry.
It was a normal occurrence. You just wanted it to be some sort of normal thing.
Yes, I know.
The thing that had occurred on the heels of the NCAA championships, which talk about a pressure cooker,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
Talk about athletes not getting paid.
yeah, talk about that. I can't believe this isn't happening all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, it's horrible, and especially if you saw the pictures, it was unbelievably horrible. I have no idea how people get through stuff like that. But I can't believe it's not happening all the time because we're doing this all over the world all the time to other people, and we don't care about it.
well, now you're speaking about drone attacks.
Drone
on-
attacks, right. So we're killing, they call it collateral damage because apparently if you get your legs blown off and they don't mean it, it doesn't count.
Yeah. and of course, if you go back to 53, blowback, or when we displanted the duly elected president of Iran and put in the Shah, we knew that there would
He was
be
a nice guy at the time.
repercussions for
Uh-huh.
years to come. So, yeah, is this...
But what about, can I just tell you, just make this point before I forget it, is that what I found remarkable is all the stories that got lost because of this
Yes.
Boston bombing. It's ironic to me that the week that the congressional report, the Constitutional Project's report on torture, which said unequivocally that George Bush and Dick Cheney and the United States engaged in war crimes and torture, and that the people who are saying that this wasn't, that it might have been something else, are wrong. This bipartisan commission finds those people not credible. And they went on to say the problem was the media, who was used to telling a story by getting one side and then getting the other, and then letting the people, they literally said this in the report, said that that's the problem here because there isn't another side to this. This has been considered torture historically and legally forever. And so that confuses the American public. So that story got lost. I mean, that if we didn't have that Boston bombing, that story would have been dominating, I think, the press for 3 or 4 days.
But it is the part where I disagree.
And that's what, but I think it's related to the bombing because here we are torturing people, and now we're wondering why people are bombing, and it's the same thing.
Right. You're not saying there's a justification for doing this.
Of
and
course
it's the part,
not.
It's the part where...
Why are you saying,
I think
Jimmy,
Patton's
that?
tweet didn't go
No.
far enough to say that there's going to be bad people. It ignores a reason for why it might happen.
Right.
There is no justification for hurting people like that. But Osama bin Laden had directly wrote because of our involvement in the Middle East, for example.
Right.
That was one of the reasons in his manifesto that, we must, as a nation, and I agreed with Ron Paul on this, is like, get the fuck out of the Middle East.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of there.
Yes.
And maybe that might stop some of the bombings, and maybe you can't stop them all. It also, what was lost was the fact that the Obama administration had done a pretty good job at thwarting many, many, many other attacks. So that when the one
Yes.
attack does happen, he's failed.
Well, of
Right.
course they're going to point the finger at him, and there was, because of a misspelling of one of the brothers' names,
Yes.
he was dropped or misplaced. And listen, these are
Spelling counts.
You see that, kids? Spelling counts.
Reading
really
Thank you,
does.
Steph.
Right.
Just ask all the athletes who won for Louisville how to
I mean,
spell.
depending on who you ask, some of their friends talk about these two guys as Boy Scouts, not the gay Boy Scouts.
Their parents do,
but
not the uncle.
But
I think this guy was a psychopath. The leader, the older
the brother,
because
the
now
older brother.
I just saw news
brother number one.
26, the 26-year-old.
A boxer.
Right.
on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Some of his very close friends were murdered, and they never been able to solve it. And so now they're thinking like, hey, maybe I think this guy's. If you can lay down
He
a
probably
bomb,
had a clown suit too.
If you if you can lay down a bomb and look a guy in the eye and see an 8-year-old kid, and you know you're gonna do that's a cold-blooded motherfucker.
There is a still from, thankfully, one of the good things about surveillance in this country is that they caught these MFers, and we'll talk about that. No one's going to get away with another. And I'm banging the table because it just pisses me off. Listen, we talked about reactions. I lost 3 friends, a best friend in 9/11. And the morning of, I had just seen a picture of the etched names on the waterfall of one of my classmates. And it made me think that day. And a few hours later, we have the terrorist attack. Technology is amazing. They've caught guys in Canada today, another thwarted terrorist plot. So, there's a lot of things, and we're not going to stop it, but it's nice to know that these guys were caught literally immediately.
I think one way of stopping this type of thing that's happening in America is maybe we should stop invading other countries, spreading democracy.
Because your
That
angle.
might help.
Okay, but now what do we do when that cloud gets so tumultuous that it's not...
I'm sorry, what's the metaphoric cloud
What's the
we're
cloud?
talking about?
What's the cloud?
Well, the cloud, I want, listen, without offending anyone, the cloud of radical Islam.
Oh, okay.
Sure, and I agree with Bill Maher that Islam needs to be judged differently because Bill Maher hates all religions. You have to say that it is different when you can't draw a cartoon of the prophet without the fear of death. In terms of the radical response, it is different. I am very liberal on it, and I say you can't judge all Muslims. Obviously, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, NBA's leading all-time scorer. You have to deal with it.
It's like the
Muslim.
Hanukkah song.
They
should have a Muslim song.
There are good Muslims.
Only with the good Muslims.
But I want to get back to, you said something about being palpably angry about these motherfuckers doing this to us, or your friend that died in 9/11. You were very angry that your friend died in 11. Does the Tillman family share your same anger for fucking Pat Tillman? They're as angry as you are for fucking, my fucking brother died in fucking Afghanistan because the fucking president dropped the fucking ball and wanted to invade Iraq. They're as angry as you are.
Of course.
So it's not just what I mean. It's that's a shared thing. You have the right to your anger for people attacking us, but people should be angry that we sent 4,000 troops to fucking Iraq to die, and hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis for shock and awe and spreading democracy. They're going to treat us as liberators. Do you have a plan for after the attack? Shit, no. I'm going to get on an aircraft carrier in a Top Gun suit.
yeah, and listen, I love
idiot.
no, but listen, the impression's great, but it's still there are Democrats that voted yes,
Absolutely, which
so
is why I will
you
not
can't
vote for
point
Hillary
it-
Clinton.
So
I
you
will not
can't
vote.
point it to to the George Bush impression.
You can point it to
You can.
the misdirection of intelligence.
You
When
can.
Joe Wilson said there's no yellow
can.
cake uranium coming out, fucking, this came from fucking Karl Rove, the fucking White House, Dick Cheney. Out that guy's wife. They are fucking doctoring. We want the intelligence that says there's fuck. Do you have actual pictures of the trucks with bombs on them? No, we have artist renderings.
That's close enough for us.
The Democrats voted for it based upon the intelligence that was made up.
Can I just say
But
this?
you're right. They are complicit.
People say this about Muslims and and the radical Islamists, and I say, well, what do you call a country of Christians who make up a pack of lies so they can invade another country for greed? What do you call that? So they're motivated by religion, and Christians are motivated by greed. And we killed hundreds of thousands of people in Iraq, and every once in a while they knock off some people here in America, and it's horrible. But I'm just saying that to try to say that radical Islam is like somehow crazy. It's Christopher Hitchens said all the time. To get good people to do terribly horrible things, it takes religion. And what do you call? But we were torturing people to make them lie that there was a connection between Saddam Hussein and the Al-Qaeda so we could justify invading their country to steal their oil. Yeah. So that's what Christians do. That's what George Bush, born-again Christians, orders that kind of thing. So I just think that, yes, that thing about drawing cartoons, and are there crazy radical Islamics? Yes. Are Christians any better? We commit genocide all over the place.
Westboro.
We're doing stuff all over the place all the time. And I think it kind of... it's not misdirected. Like I'm angry at radical Islamists too, but I don't think that they're that much worse or any worse possibly if you count the numbers of people killed by and them are Christians.
But the absence of critical thought leads to fanaticism.
Yes.
I think is what you're saying.
Yes.
And that's the problem with religion can be manipulative. Facts hopefully cannot. So if you, I agree.
And what do you think about? Here's what I also think. Right, so. Now we're not only living in a plutocracy economically, right, where every law that's written is to benefit a handful of people and not the majority of people. Every economic regulation or everything that's repealed, it's to help people who already have money and influence in government, not to help people who don't. But no, I forgot my.
What? I did want to jump in and say on the day that the bombs went off in Boston, at the same time, a bomb went off in Iraq that same day, killing 55 people and injuring 300 people.
Yes.
And then you see posted on Huffington Post this picture of people in Syria sending their condolences to America and sharing that this kind of thing happens on a daily occurrence for them. So we're worried about. I think we're very sheltered in America compared to the violence that's happening.
Well, we have
the world.
we have a culture, a society built on freedom, and that doesn't it quote unquote doesn't happen on our shores. It doesn't happen here, and when it does, it's very it is very disturbing, and it's only happened a few times.
Do you think it's more disturbing when it happens here than it is when it happens anywhere else in the world to those people?
I think
it's more disturbing to us when it happens here.
And this is this is just
it's not more disturbing.
No. I don't know, but there's no referee over the whole.
When a 9-year-old dies in Syria, I'm sure it's just as horrible when a 9-year-old dies in America, right?
Well, what was his upside?
But I think we get. I've been watching.
I agree. It's an individual.
There's this therapist named John Bradshaw, and he has a saying. One of his things is, "Your pain is ordinary, no matter how bad it is." And I think about that like America, like, oh my God, there's bombs. It's horrible. But when you look around the world, there are 10 times more horrible things happening all the time. And it's like we're a little narcissistic when it comes to that.
And I think it's also, and they don't have good restaurants. So, hey, we're not completely switching gears, but
okay.
So today the brother number 2 will not be charged as a quote unquote enemy.
Sounds like he's on the dating game.
That's right.
Brother number 2.
He's brother number 2. Kill. I am brother number 2. I would like to go out on a date with you. You must wear all black.
Thank you, brother number 2.
Cover your head.
Okay, I'm not going to go there.
We make boom boom.
Yeah, we make boom boom.
A different kind.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Okay.
I'm going to go with boom boom.
They're not going to be charged as enemy combatants.
Which they shouldn't be. That would be unconstitutional.
What do you think
he's
about
an American citizen.
Correct. What do you think about the Miranda warning? Like they didn't give him the Miranda warning. Now, I flipped on this. At first, I was like, yeah, you shouldn't. But then I thought about it for a second, and I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. Now, what's going to stop them from the next time they want to they go, oh, he's a terrorist. He doesn't have to give him his Miranda right. Oh, he's a terrorist. Now he's a terrorist. That guy's an American citizen. I think he gets the rights of an American citizen.
And ironically was given his citizenship on September 11th, 2012.
Yeah, ironically.
Or 11, just, recently.
It's like that thing where when they started spying on us, right? The Patriot Act, and they're able to read our emails and tap our phones without a warrant.
Which they stood up for that law, which was another thing this week that went
Was that called
unreported.
CISNA or something like
yeah,
that?
the SISPA Act.
I'm no good with acronyms. Go on, Vince.
No, I actually don't. I've seen the acronym, but it's another thing that went on. And last week when we were fighting about gay marriage,
You're for it?
No, he's again. He can't say the M word. It's like he's like Dr. Strangelove.
I told you I changed my tune because
just a little bit. You're evolving like President Obama was.
It just takes me a little time. I'm leaving Reverend Wright's church and coming to another radical Christian. Sorry. No, my feeling is my God that I love and adore.
He's a man, straight male.
Well, he's the classic picture. Yes, he's
white with a white beard, like
white.
Dumbledore. Your God looks like Dumbledore.
Six-pack. He has a nice six-pack.
He's a very well taken care of God
Dreamy
for being
eyes.
so dusty. It's amazing. Is a loving God, and the God that I choose to believe in doesn't exclude. So I don't want to believe that he would exclude boys from boys or girls from girls. So go.
So you're okay with people marrying animals?
No,
Jeez.
no. I'm not okay with animals or toasters or anything else. I don't
Okay.
like sister.
Well, I like
Toaster
your
does have
guys.
male and female parts. So.
Your guy
So,
sounds
yes.
like a nice guy. He'd be okay, I think.
He's well. We'll go back into Christianity because I know we have probably a similar background.
Okay.
I don't think I was as devout an altar boy. In fact, I wasn't an altar boy. So
I
That's what
was.
saved you.
I
So
said-
you
That's
didn't
what
date a
saved
priest?
me.
My parents.
I didn't date any priest. Exactly. I didn't date any
No
priest.
wonder you walk straight. Hey, is this thing on?
So he'll be charged. Brother number 2 will be charged as an American citizen and will go through the
Just
due
like
process.
Timothy McVeigh, I don't believe was tried as an enemy combatant. I'm not
No,
sure.
I don't think he was. But let me. It's funny how people they go, "Oh, we got to try him in military courts. Oh, we got to take away his Miranda rights." And it's like as if our system of laws and justice is an impediment to justice instead of a facilitator.
Well,
of justice.
the only thing contrary I would say to that is OJ. But other than that, no, we have to go through the.
OJ was jury nullification because police lied on the stand.
Yeah.
And those were black jurors, and they were sending a message to the police department, which the FBI and the Justice Department
Excuse me.
sent.
It was the police, not the police.
It was the po-po.
But then they were.
Well,
then
this is what I'd like to see for punishment
So-
because we're apparently, no matter what, we're not going to be able to, whatever proof we have against this brother number 2, we're not going to be able to, he's going to live his life probably in incarceration.
AdSeg. I watch MSNBC.
But
He'll be an AdSeg.
I would like all of
In
the.
a nice cell like Bernie Madoff gets to enjoy?
I hope not.
Okay.
But I think a precursor to jail for this guy should be all of the Boston policemen should smack him in the face with their genitalia, with their small Irish penises, and in preparation.
That's racist.
But it's reverse racism.
It is.
In preparation for
Those
what he's
penises
gonna,
are drunk too.
for what
Look at my drunken pee-pee right here.
for what he's going to get in prison.
Yeah, set him up. Yeah, get him used to it.
Just
No,
get him
he's
used
going to be
to
an AdSeg, separate population.
Yeah, he'll be.
23 hours a day, and then 1 hour to go out and do whatever he needs to do.
But did anyone else share that point of view that I had about that it's weird that people view our judicial system as an impediment to justice instead of a facilitator? Like all of a sudden, if you apply American-style justice, we're not going to get justice. Somehow it's going to be skewed. And I don't agree with that. I think, why don't we believe in our jury system? Because it works most of the time, I think it works correctly. And I also think that jury nullification works sometimes. Like, we don't like it,
That's
but
funny.
I think it worked.
There's 12 jurors with their baseball caps turned backwards. I don't know if we're going to get the decision we want.
They all have wearing FUBU apparel.
Kazakhstan
This is a
flags.
problem.
Well,
Is it Kazakhstan?
If it's
No, Chechnya.
Yeah. So I mean, if they have their hats on backwards, maybe they won't convict the Rocket of being a doper. But
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
And-
thinking they're all baseball catchers. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
No, the
They have
kids
to-
had their caps turned around. I don't want to see a jury of kids with their caps turned around. It might be
Bad news.
a pro jury for him. But yes, you have to try him as an American citizen. We have to use our Justice Department and have faith in our system of justice.
you?
Otherwise, it's chaos.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Do you think he should have been read his Miranda rights?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, I believe in our system.
I have to. Unfortunately, I have to believe
I
in our
think it's
system.
funny that you said it. How about that? Did you say you agreed with that too? You should give him his Miranda rights.
Well, what they
You
did
posted it
was
on
they
Facebook.
waited as long as they could, which is within law enforcement's right to wait.
And then they did it with a puppet.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so I think
How long
you
do
can.
they get
I think
away?
there. I think it's 24 hours. You can keep a suspect in custody without. Once they charge you, they either have to read your Miranda rights or let you go.
Or
so that
imprison you in
NYPD
Guantanamo.
Blue.
And
so
all-
it's great.
and all that
we have to
means-
cut them loose, Sipowicz.
And all that means, by the way, is that if you don't Mirandize someone and they say something that incriminates themselves, you can't use
Can't
that
use
against
it.
them. You can still, they're still going to prosecute him, but anything he says can't be used against him unless you tell him anything he says can be used against him.
Yeah,
that's
it's-
all.
Yeah, it's definitely life in prison. He's never getting
Yeah.
out. So
yeah, so,
and,
this-
and it
so
may-
they could have Mirandized this guy.
That's what I didn't understand because wasn't there enough evidence already?
Yeah, but I guess they wanted to get information out of him, but it just didn't make sense. I
Well,
think
one of the people that was one of the bombers was Mirandized, I think, in 9/11 and talked anyways.
Well, here's the thing: when you're Mirandized, you're allowed to have an attorney present. But before you Mirandize, there's no attorney. So if they can get information out of you,
okay.
which
Oh,
is
that's right.
which just flows, they're going to take as much as they can before the
Absolutely.
attorney says, "Hey, she gets the
yeah.
you know."
Some hot girl. That was a really cool backpack you had. What kind was that?
Yeah.
So
so that's
Yeah.
why.
Off.
So that's another reason why they want to wait to Mirandize. And who the hell is Miranda?
So there was a yes, Carmen Miranda.
A Cuban woman comes in and dances with a
She gives you
fruit. on
fruit.
it.
She gives you fruit, and then everything's okay.
You have the right to look at my breast.
Well, does this have a happy ending for us as
somebody
Americans?
I hope
as
someone gets
a
jerked
world? You hope the Irish policeman. Because
no,
of course, there's only Irish
They
policemen.
do the thing in The
Boston.
Godfather where the Irish cop stands outside and goes, "Boy, I hope
Send 'em."
Corleone doesn't get hit in the hospital tonight."
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a tragedy, and we're trying to make light of it to move forward. As Patton said, we have to move forward and hope that the good people outweigh the bad people. But I think it does have a happy ending if we keep our system. If we don't become what we hate. If we don't torture, and unfortunately, Obama has kept Gitmo open. People are still being tortured.
They're on a hunger strike right now.
Really
there.
hasn't done much to stop that. And so hopefully we don't become the things that we hate. We have to be above that. We have to be adults. Because the act of bombing innocent people is not an adult action.
So Boomer
we cannot react the same.
That's correct. Boomer Esiason does a talk show with this other guy named Camden, I think is his name.
Yeah, Boomer and
Camden, I think maybe. I could be wrong about his last name, but he was He said that I know there's a lot of people who disagree with me on this. He says, but
I say that all the time on the show.
But this is before they caught the bombers. He goes, but if you catch the guy, no trial, you just kill him. And I know there's a lot of people that disagree with me, but if you catch him and you know
I'm
it's
gonna go
him,
out on a limb,
and you know it's him because he's going to say, "It's me." Good.
Yeah. As if a trial isn't there to determine guilt or innocence. As if a trial is just there for show. Like we already know who did it. Ask Richard Jewell if they think they should have a trial for bombers.
Yeah, exactly.
but this brings out
Take a break in a minute, but go ahead and wrap it
This
up.
brings out our base feelings as not even human beings, as creatures, where something happens to us and we just want to go.
It's a reaction to fear.
We want to go.
Yes.
I want the fear to stop, and then I can terminate it by getting at the root of the cause.
We're going to cover some more reaction on the Boston Marathon bombing. We are going to talk about some projects.
There's a baseball player that made a lovely speech.
We are going to chat about
City of
that.
Boston.
We'll be back in a minute on the Facebook Wars.
Go Cast Network.
Hey, this is Carlos Alazraqui.
And Vince Don Vito from the Facebook Wars.
You got to go listen to the Facebook Wars if you want to hear the right, correct perspective from the left. Carlos Alazraqui, the truth. Unlike my friend Vince.
Listen to the two guys be unreasonably reasonable.
Fight on Facebook. Bring it to us. We'll talk about how you fight, why you fight. What are you doing on Facebook fighting with people? We love it.
Let's kiss and make up.
Fight.
Hello, people out there in the Twitterverse. You have to listen to Balancing Act on the Go Cast Network, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yakko, Wacko, and Dot always listen to it in the water tower. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Danny Trejo, and when I'm in Huntington Beach, I go to my favorite restaurant, the second floor. The second floor has my favorite food, and man, you have to see their colossal burgers. You need a damn machete just to cut them. And they were just voted the best fusion art restaurant. Tattoo art from some of the biggest names like Jack Rudy and Rick Walters. Every Thursday night, art shows featuring legends to local artists come in, and you can meet them in person. You can buy the art right off the walls, and all sales go right to the artist. After 10 p.m. Thursday through Saturday, well-known DJs spinning an eclectic mix of music, and you gotta check out their late night menu. Go visit them on the web, check out their great menu, upcoming art shows, and your favorite DJ. Located at 126 Main Street, downtown Huntington Beach. Second floor. I'll see you there.
Hi, this is Tom Dreesen. I started out in show business with a comedy team. It was called Tim and Tom. I thought we were the funniest twosome that ever lived, and then I met Dick and Darren. I'm convinced we were the funniest twosome that ever lived.
We're back on the Go Cast Network.
Do we get our music?
Yeah. This makes us all feel good.
I like this.
Before we fight again. Because you can relate to this, right? This
Yes.
is in your wheelhouse?
No doubt about it.
Yes, sir. We can all be friends. There's a Karl Strauss right next door. Good brewery.
We're going to have to drink heavily after this.
But this is why hosted the show with somebody like Vince Donvino. He's not a crackpot right-winger. He has some views that are more conservative than me. I'm not, save the fucking whales, although I think it's a good idea.
I think we should save the whales.
Happy Earth Day.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
Earth Day.
happy Earth
Fuck
Day.
the Earth.
It is Earth Day.
But I'm not super, super crazy.
I think there are chemtrails people, right?
Yeah, I'm not a chemtrail people.
I'm not a chemtrail person, but at least you understand where it comes from. Like there's the Tuskegee thing, and there's lots of
They were
evidence
black. It doesn't count.
for them to be doing crazy things like that.
Have a Coke and a smile.
Yeah, having a coconut smile.
Okay, so
I'm chewing used gum. That's what I do.
That's beautiful. All right, so another angle to this story is Red Sox slugger David Ortiz. Ding, 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 ding.
now didn't he swear?
Oh, it's beautiful. So, from the heart, Red Sox star Ortiz won't be fined by the FCC for rousing "This is our honking city" speech in Boston on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, fucking city, puppy. Yeah, be motherfucking fucking city.
Well, I think it's very funny that they picked the one Red Sox who has zero command of the English language to
That's most
deliver-
of Major League Baseball these days.
That's
let's
true.
face it.
The Dominican Republic of the United States of America. Anyway, he said, welcome, and we will not be hurried by these people and all of those other things. And he dropped the F-bomb in front of all of Fenway Park, and of course, the drunk Red Sox fans screamed. But how would you feel if you had your 6-year-old kid there?
Fuck yeah, motherfuckers.
Well, so this is what I was getting.
Wicked awesome.
How do you like them fucking apples?
So now we have two. So now it's the selective enforcement of the law, which the next person who gets fined from the FCC for saying "fuck" can say this is selective enforcement.
Well,
there
they-
were just as many kids watching then as was listening to my thing, and now and that they'll win with the jury.
And the rationale from the FCC is because he spoke from the heart. Well, doesn't every
about every
white
comic?
supremacist
Yes.
speak from the heart when he
Right.
says those MF, N words?
Right.
I
So this just pisses me off. Maybe it's because I'm from New York and I hate the Red Sox, but I just don't think that this was cool.
See, the country's back to normal. You just said it. I hate they've just been bombed just about a week ago.
The
and
Red Sox-
we're
the
back
Red
to
Sox
normal.
weren't bombed.
Fucking Red Sox. There are a lot of Boston people that depend on the Red Sox for their joy. Can't they have joy now? No, not according to you. But
They unfurled the
That
flag.
means the country's back to normal already.
is. And I
They
said-
also Did you sing "Sweet Caroline"?
I didn't sing Sweet Caroline, although Neil Diamond is looking a little chubby.
Yeah, he's looking like Caroline.
He's looking like he ate a few sweet rolls.
But see, I like that because that's a sign
It was
that
nice.
the country's back
Hey,
to
at
normal.
Yankee Stadium, they sang
They
Sweet
sang it.
Caroline.
Half-heartedly.
Yeah, they were like,
half-heartedly.
freaking Sweet Caroline, she's a whore.
A lot of them Puerto Ricans, they weren't doing it. The Puerto Ricans, nah, not so much. I don't know.
So again, I was going to make that point before about how we have a plutocracy where the laws economically are made on a two-tiered system. Now we even have just regular laws. So now, if you're, I guess, popular enough and you don't get fined for swearing, but if not, they'll kick you. They'll close you down and kick you. They'll fine you $1 million. I mean, it's not. After 9/11, there was such a chill in the air. I was doing morning radio all over the country, and they wouldn't let you talk about the Iraq War because Clear Channel ran most of it. And then I was going on the Infinity, and they wouldn't let you talk about Howard Stern either. So I was going on the air in Atlanta or somewhere, and I go, "Is this Clear Channel?" And they go, "No." I go, "Oh, good. I want to talk about the war." They go, "No, you can't talk about the war." I go, "Well, can I talk about Howard Stern?" "You can't talk about Howard Stern." I'm like, "What? Why can't I talk?" They go, "I just don't want to bring it up." I go, "He's not even."
But this is what we want to talk about. You want to hear our opinions. And it was, Jimmy, it was one of the first things that I thought of when I saw the FCC report is I thought of Howard Stern. I said, this guy's been getting fined for years. He speaks, if there's anybody that speaks
Right.
from the heart, it's that nut job.
Right.
Who's
but
funny as
Jews
hell.
lie. Jews lie. So you can't let
The
them just say anything.
so-called
didn't know
hook-nosed Jew.
The Jew, Howard Stern, he lies. He lies.
Yes.
But-
Let's go to post number B. Let's go to Representative Peter King. So this was from MSNBC.
Playing the part of Carlos Alazraqui in The Gray will be the lovely Italian Mexican American Zamorano.
Here we go. After the Boston bombings, New York Republican Representative Peter King says police must realize that the threat is coming from the Muslim community and increase surveillance there.
Jennifer says,
And how about the bumpkin from Mississippi who just sent laced letters to the president and U.S. Senator? Shall we also start increasing surveillance on rednecks?
Wow. Amazing. What I love is that he always says this crap with a big smile on his face. So sick of the hateful GOP.
Peter King is equally dangerous. Can we put him under increased surveillance?
What a blind prejudice dick.
Do not blame all Muslims for this! Exclamation 22 times. I wonder what he said after OKC and Columbine.
That was from Paula, pure Muslim name.
Well, it sure as hell ain't coming from the Christian community, the Catholic community, the Protestant community, or the Mormon community, the Orthodox Jew community, or the atheist community. So that pretty much narrows it down, folks.
Buddhist.
Jimmy!
I'm as brilliant as Jimmy Dore. I love it.
So the entire Muslim community is plotting terror attacks? Please, just as Christians twist the words of the Bible to fit their crazy agendas, there are Muslim extremists that do the same. Focus on those, THOSE, capitalized groups, not the entire religion.
What kind of logic is then when to say that the most mass shootings were committed by whites when we should be monitoring the white community?
The Catholic Church and the International Child Sex Ring needs to be kept under watch, too.
The International Sex Ring.
The basic problem is religious extremism, not any specific brand or flavor, but the desire for an individual to give their life to a non-existent being. Remember, it was a born-again Christian extremist that put this nation in an unjustified war.
Jimmy
And
said.
that wasn't written by Carlos.
Nope. Or Jimmy.
Sorry, Libs, if you can't see the truth when it hits you in the face, or should I say the legs, then you are extremely blind or just plain dumb. Even President Obama has seen the light and refused to have the Miranda rights read to this Muslim terrorist. He finally admitted that terrorism is terrorism. Bet that ruffled all your liberal feathers.
I got to put him back in there, ruffled.
Oh, I
Totally
love this.
ruffled.
This is
It's
great.
either those Muslims or blacks. Gotta be always right. But all the mass killers look like Peter King and his friends. Maybe everyone should watch the white community and hate and evil they do.
I find Peter King's stance to be that of many other white elderly men. Oh, crap, I'm profiling.
You're stereotyping, actually, but that's what all liberals do.
Well done, Steph. Well done. It's not easy playing the part of Carlos. It usually comes out with much more venom.
He's got more pots than me. Good night, folks. See, that's how the Facebook works, as you know from doing your
This
former
is great.
show. That's how it's played.
This is
Oh,
great.
it's nice.
Well played.
It gets
did it-
better if we have time. We got to get to Vince's.
You do it better than you guys had character. You did different voices.
I saw that he had characters.
This is
I was
great.
Like, oh, shit.
I just mostly just
One had a limp. Did you see that? Oh. You didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
But
Mo-
it does,
I have layers to my character.
Mine is always where I say the thing that insults someone, and it's funny, and I always get the last word. I always look good
Yeah.
in my face.
Well, it
before.
is really challenging. So, as Carlos will readily admit, I do most of the prep work for this show, and I have to edit these posts so that they make some sense and
Oh,
have some
okay.
through line. We
Okay.
can't just leave it all willy-nilly.
all
Otherwise,
right.
it's just,
I get you.
Is
you-
this behind the scenes?
I appreciate
This is
you-
behind the
I
scenes.
appreciate you making the show more entertaining for the
we
listener.
we try.
does.
We want to.
Now, I'm going to throw this out, though. Isn't complaining about terrorist bombing a bit like complaining about the Indians scalping back in the day? Because of the fact that one side doesn't have a massive army, it means they have to resort to tactics that are very crude, much like we did against the British. They have to resort to tactics that are available to them. In other words, in the Middle East, one side is resorting to bombings and terrorists and blowing themselves up because they don't have a huge United States-supported army to back them.
I mean, it's almost like an obvious point, but it needs to be made, right?
Yeah,
Because
I'm not saying they're right. I'm just saying that that's the tactics
Yeah.
they use because
I mean,
they don't have an army and
Carlos,
tanks and air force.
the guys who did 9/11 had to buy a ticket to bomb us. They didn't even own a plane.
Yeah.
They had to buy a ticket to bomb. So yes, you're right. It's a which is don't you find it strange that it
I was
doesn't
just
happen?
going to say, should I feel bad for them?
It doesn't
they had
happen
to-
in North Korea.
No, I'm just saying that they don't have even a plane or anything. These guys are literally cavemen, some of them that were fighting. And the fact that, they always say, we're not going to let it change us. And we're not going to, we couldn't
They were
let it-
actually practicing at Chuck E. Cheese. Excuse me, I have to get on that ride again. You believe me, it's important. Sorry.
Everybody sit down. Put the balls down.
And don't you think it's funny how everybody pretty much in the mainstream media pretends that it hasn't changed us when it has changed us 100%? I'm going to take my shoes off now. Does it go through the airport? I can't. Go ahead.
Jimmy, you're on planes a lot.
Yeah.
What's the worst part of any trip for you?
Trying to get my weed on the plane.
There you go.
That is definitely that. You know what's funny? When people have brought this up again, everybody's going to pretend like this isn't a problem until it happens. But so we don't want to have a bomb on a plane because you could blow up 300 people at once, and that causes terror. But now we have 3, 4, 5, 600 people standing in a hallway waiting to go through. So what? Somebody could just blow up a bomb there, and then where are they going to check you out on the curb? Where does your constitutional rights end? Because they end when you walk into an airport. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So now where are they going to check you? If you can't check me inside, you're going to check me on the curb. Where is it? You know what I'm saying? So
And some of them they do because they're checking your vehicle
right
before you come in. Which
right. So now my constitutional rights end at the curb or at the
stop sign.
driveway.
it ends at Lincoln
When
as you pass
on
Sepulveda.
Century.
It ends at the glowing statues.
So
You want to get to sequestration? I know you've been chomping at the bit for sequestration for a long
Oh,
time. I know we're jumping
Sure.
subjects, but
Let's
this
do it
thing-
because
this
we
thing is
got it.
decaying like a bad Twinkie.
So basically, we did a little quick post. It's just a page long about the sequestration.
And then we'll get into
we
our
were
take the
all
bait.
we were all really hit by sequestration this weekend because this is there were a lot of flight
Flights
controllers.
Delayed because of weather and furloughing, which
Yes,
they
that's-
said
that-
would happen.
And that makes sense. Let's reduce the time our flight controllers can serve.
Well, Reagan busted the unions way back when. These people in these towers want to make more money. Let's break up the union. Thank you, Ronnie.
All right, so Jimmy's going to read green, and
I'm taking this one. Get out of here.
You
No,
do
well,
it.
I'm giving
You know
Jimmy.
the copy.
I'm giving Jimmy Green. I'm giving Jimmy Green.
I'm
so
taking
basically,
it, Greg.
this
Get
is
outta
from
here.
this is from
My
Fox
show.
11 in Los Angeles, obviously a Fox affiliate. Should Congress and the president take the same pay cut that government workers will have to take under sequestration? Carlos.
Disgusting comment. Not only should I take the permanent pay cuts, but since they're not doing the jobs, they don't deserve to get paid.
Yes, they act like.
I thought I was doing the green.
God damn it! Go ahead.
Hey, they do. Yes, they act like little children's, but they personally face no consequences for their actions. I would love to see this happen.
Yes, I think that. Yes, I think so. This government needs what the fuck? Yes, I think so. This government needs a wake-up call. They should all go into min wage till they pass it. Then you will see things get done yesterday.
Yes, they should. In fact, they should also have to go on Obamacare and retire on Social Security. They are supposed to be working for us. So why are they living better than their employers? If they had to retire and go on Medicare, they are putting us on. Believe me, they would fix it really fast.
Why not forever? Not just during sequestration.
Oh, thank you, Ricardo. Beautiful.
I agree with this, by the way.
I do.
Well, none of our elected officials will go on Obamacare. They all have better insurance.
Yes, they have better insurance, of course.
And when asked the question, they say, "We'll see."
And doesn't
Great
it,
answer.
And I mean, just another example, right? So 90% of the people talking about Obama, people want 73% of the public wanted a public option, and we didn't get it.
Nope.
Now 90% of the people want background checks, and we're not going to get it.
90% of Republicans voted against it. 90% of Democrats voted for it, even though 4 fucking scared pricks didn't.
So now, what do you call that then? Is it when the government is no longer responsive to the will of the people in such a brazen way like that? Isn't that when we're supposed to have a revolution?
Yeah, it's coming. I've always said that this experiment of a unified America is quickly coming to an end.
I say 2 countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no problem.
I don't want to live where most of my side resides, though.
I don't want to build a wall in Mexico. Let's just
No.
build a wall maybe between east and west and north and south. So all the gun crazies that want to have open carry
Right.
laws can live on that side.
Yes.
And we'll live over here on this side. And
Talking
we can
about
have universal
open-
health care over here. And you can have
Social
pay for
Security.
insurance
And
over
you can
there.
have the Bible in your schools, and we'll have science. And you can have, right? Is
Yeah.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Have a red and a blue
So
country?
I think it's more fair to divide it east and west.
Yeah,
That
but when
way
we
you can
have a
go north
war,
and
we're
south.
going to win
No.
because we've got all the guns.
You got to divide it north and south.
unless you
can't
take
divide it east and west.
unless
What,
you take
crazy?
Chicago.
No.
East and west.
No, it's north and south, you knucklehead.
Why? Well, okay.
The South always votes, it's a culture thing.
Yeah, but I want to go to South sometimes. I want to go.
You can still go.
You know where I want to back? I want to go back to the Gulf where things are better than ever, according to BP. And 11 people didn't die.
And
things are better than ever.
Their
because of
commitment
BP.
and their commitment to the Gulf is stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever.
I don't know if you know
Come
this,
visit.
but they have 200. They made 250,000 jobs.
11 people died. Did I
Why
mention
are all
that?
the shrimp black?
11 human beings
And I don't mean
died.
anything, I'm not just saying.
Why do black people like shrimp? Is that what you're saying? You racist?
Are you saying the shrimp have afros? What are you saying?
No. They definitely have the sheen. Good night, folks.
Do we want, you got a line of the week?
I got a line of week, and it's from my friend Vince
Holy
Don
cow.
Vito. He gets into it. Let's preface this, and we can go. How many comments did it? 55 comments. I posted this afternoon. Great job, Boston Police. Now, let's cut your salary. Signed, GOP. This incensed my buddy Vince, and he gets into a cat fight.
Well, how in the world do you get off of your high freaking horse
Governor Walker.
and sign
What?
GOP? We're all in this together.
Wait a minute.
There's not one party that makes the laws.
I agree with you. You know what?
I know it's a toughie.
But they were against.
has to
they
be
were
some
against
middle-
stimulus spending. They're for austerity. So austerity means we need to fire more cops and firemen. Where Obama is fighting for stimulus, which would keep those people on the job because we all know our economic problems weren't caused by cops, teachers, and firemen.
But he's fighting for stimulus masked in tax increases, which
work.
Well,
Ask Bill. See Bill Clinton. Balance the budget.
So
Listen,
that's
this is a long.
So
this
that's
is
why that makes sense to say. So because the GOP is advocating policies that would fire cops, firemen, and teachers.
Well, maybe if we had a budget, then we could get some things.
Gee,
done.
I wonder if the two fucking
Touche.
huge wards in Medicaid Part B had anything to do with us not having a budget.
Well, let's just say one thing at a time. So you will concede that that's not crazy that he said that, right?
Well, and I think it is because what it is it's the same thing as when the Democrats are still pointing their fingers and going,
Still?
it's Bush.
You mean five
As
years?
if this is of course we're still pointing the fingers because in reality, it takes more than 8 years to get out of the damage that was done. Your expectation as the GOP or a Republican is that, well, surely that happened 8 years ago. It must be gone by now. No, the
So what did
residual
Obama-
effects of that go on and on and on.
Okay, can I break
That's
in?
what an adult realizes.
Can I come? I'm actually in the middle here.
A&A
I'm actually in the middle. I'm not here.
It's like an alcoholic going to one meeting at Alcoholics Anonymous.
It's anonymous. Be quiet.
I'm not better. How come I'm not better after one meeting? Because it takes time. Any adult would realize that. It has long-term effects.
Don't be angry just because your president's
I get
full
to
of
pound the
empty
table, too.
promises.
I think
Congress is full of empty promises and a bunch of no's. Go ahead, Jimmy.
no, that's okay. So I just want to say that
You're walking home.
you know when you say, "Hey, why do you got to point the finger at Bush and shouldn't Obama this?" You got to understand that when it comes to economics, pretty much the difference between the Obama Treasury Department and the George Bush Treasury Department is the difference between the 5th and 6th floor at Goldman Sachs. And I'm not the first guy to say that because if Barack Obama really was on the side of the working man, he would have regulated the banks. He would have reinstituted the New Deal regulation of Glass-Steagall. So when people say, "Hey, they point their finger at Bill Clinton," it was the Democrats. No, it wasn't liberalism though. It was Bill Clinton repealed Glass-Steagall because he
Open up
was
the
in the
banks.
pocket of Wall Street, right? So he
That's
did.
how you get elected, unfortunately.
But so people go, look, the Democrats did that. Yeah, but yes. But liberalism didn't. What happened was the Democrats turned their back on liberalism. They turned their back on the New Deal. Bill Clinton turned their back, and the rest of the Democrats in the House and Senate who went along with all that stuff turned their back on the New Deal, and that's what sank our economy. It wasn't liberalism or the New Deal. It was the Democrats turning their back on it. So I just want to, and Barack Obama's right there with them, by the way. He never did put on that comfortable shoe and get on the picket line with the teachers in Wisconsin or the union workers in Michigan. He never did any of that, and he won't even stand up to Timothy Geithner. He hired Timothy Geithner, for Christ's sake. So let's just remember the only guy who was prosecuting Wall Street was Elliot Spitzer, and they took him down real quick. And you know how they got him? They used the goddamn Patriot Act to go after fucking Elliot Spitzer. They were going to get that motherfucker because he was upsetting the apple cart.
Well, either he was going to get gotten by,
And that's why you don't want
or by his ex-wife.
And that's why you don't want to let the government decide when you get your rights and when you don't get your rights. Because as soon as they get to decide when you don't get your rights, they're going to abuse it. And they're going to take down the only guy who was standing up to power, which was Elliot Spitzer. And that's why Barack Obama will never stand up to these guys, because look at the three guys who ever has, right? Teddy Roosevelt, FDR, and Elliot Spitzer. Now, they all came from money. because they know these guys. Now, Barack Obama, his whole life, he spent trying to get white people to feel comfortable with his blackness. You don't get to be the first black editor of the law review at Harvard by making white people uncomfortable. It's the way his gears work. And the only time you ever saw him be passionate about a piece of legislation, ever be passionate, was this gun legislation that failed last week. And the reason why is because the gun legislation is a massive compromise, and he can only be passionate about a massive compromise.
Yeah, he's kind of like
I'm so middle of the road.
Yeah, he is. He's not real gospel Reverend Wright Black. He's like House of Blues Sunday gospel brunch black.
Yes,
it's kind of fake. But so go ahead.
And that was, by the way, that was Frank Conniff said that on my show last week about the compromise thing. I don't want to take credit for that idea.
That's all right.
I wanted to go back to.
Oh, let the women have to speak.
I know, just for a second, fellas. So, Vince, you talked about earlier. You go, well, like, how is this going to end? Are we going to have a happy ending? Okay, regarding the Boston bombing and everything like that. And I think the happy ending is if we take care of Americans, if the nurses and the doctors and the firemen and the policemen that are there, that everybody sees as heroes all the time, that we ensure that they have working conditions conducive to them. Because I don't want a 70-year-old firefighter coming and rescuing me because they're too old, they're too young to get a pension or retirement. So I think the happy ending has to be that we work to preserve
raise the minimum wage.
Yes, what America is all about, protecting our civil liberties and ensuring that people can prosper in this economy because it's fixed right now.
And or
Right. It's
like
a rigged economy.
I agree with you. And or like Dana White said, and I kudos to Dana White for saying he had a
From the UFC.
He had like a Mears disease, I think it's called, where his balance in his ear threw him off, strobed.
Yes.
He had to sleep 9 hours a day. He goes to Germany, sees the same doctor that Kobe and Dirk and Tim Duncan saw.
Spinning some blood.
And they did the stem cells. They used stem cells in Germany, and his disease is gone. So if we get rid of the religious right that's blocking using embryonic cells because they're thrown at fertility clinics, we can all get stem cell research done, stem cell therapy, and work until we're 70s and be strong.
Let's give the stem cells to those old firefighters so they can lift Steph out of a burning building.
Yeah,
We'll
let
have
'em-
everyone-
let 'em
Or as
come.
Bobby Slayton said, and I said this last week,
I want some angry dyke. I don't want some angry dyke lifting me out of fire. And I say angry like there's any other kind.
but we got to our take the bait, which was about this. Vince was incensed about me saying the GOP.
I didn't like the blame. Was just my point. Was I didn't feel like your finger pointing was justified.
Austerity.
But
the
now,
man said it.
But now you kind of agree, right?
I understand. And listen, there's 2
Okay.
points, but I just
Governor
felt
Walker.
It's okay. Own your ideas.
I fell
Own your
into
idea.
Carlos's.
He fell
I fell
into it,
Carlos's.
and he gets into it with this woman, Lori Bell Fitzsimmons.
Don't mention her name because she's also not a woman, and she
And
doesn't
that was
speak
my
like a woman.
famous. This is a part of 55 comments, and Lori writes, "Do you see what I have to deal with, Doug? All I did was disagree with him, and he pulls out every insult in his arsenal. Women with opinions are trailer park witches. Aft. Oh well." And Vince says, my line of the week: nobody called you a woman. Yes.
Yeah.
But they went on. Let me let's eyeball it.
Oh my
Let's eyeball
God.
it. What do you think, Steph? There's like 30
Yeah.
comments back and forth just between Vince and Lori.
Well,
they hijacked it.
Now, Steph, you see,
I'm a woman.
What is
all
the
right, you're a
etiquette?
woman, and my wife is a woman, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
At least at last check. But at some point, I always say, you want the last word? I'll let you have the last word. And I gave Lori the last word on 5 or 6 occasions. And she insulted me. And then after she insulted me, she went back and compounded the insult. What I was saying before, Jimmy,
I like that.
was about...
I mean, I don't like that. I'm sorry.
See? Yeah.
you women don't know what they like.
I mean, I gave you. Here's the thing, and I tried really
Like my
hard. I
daughter.
try really hard when I'm arguing with someone in person
To be
or
civil.
is to be civil and to not use colorful language.
Like libtards.
That's correct. I did not say that. But she said something about me being a dick. Now, we have no equivalent. The man could only go 5 times worse.
Cunt is worse.
Yes. So I said, don't call me by that body part, and I won't call you by another body part. And that's
Why not just call her a dick right back?
because it doesn't work for a woman. It's
I
like,
think dick is a perfect. I like
No,
the
but
word
It works
dick.
from it works for one bantamweight fighter in the UFC and Chastity Bono.
You just don't want to. You know what? It's always good to try to not to go down to their level. I always try to do. I do try to insult. I don't mind being like snarky or people are like, "Oh boy, you really escalated fast." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Facebook. It's fun. Let's insult each other."
Yes, and that's part
I think
of
it's
it.
fun. I think it's fun to insult each other and use colorful language on Facebook. To me, it's a blast because no one's ever going to get punched or hit. It's always funny to me when someone actually threatens physical violence. I go, did you really just do this on Facebook, you moron?
Yeah.
I said to her, "You'd rather win than be correct or informed," and it was all about her making a point about my manliness and. I'm Italian American. That's never in question.
Black belt in karate. Watch out, Lori.
Fourth degree, baby.
Fourth degree, man.
So that's where I got into it.
He will beat you with your own anger.
It became personal and not about, and that's what this show is somewhat focuses on. It's about how people argue and how they communicate.
Did you really get offended though?
That she called you a dick?
Yeah, because
Come on, you don't think
I've had a
that's
history.
funny,
I've had it
though.
no because I've had. That's an easy one. It's an easy one.
Well,
Be more clever.
it's like you can't let like as a comedian, you can't let the heckler, get you upset. You have to control how you feel. You can't let any asswipe who calls you a dick is going to make you upset. So you have to control. So, but it's a practice. It's easy to get upset. I get upset on Facebook. What gets me upset is ignorance, not people calling me names, but ignorance gets me upset. Like when people will get mad at Barack Obama for the dumbest thing. It's like there's so many good things.
He went
to
on
be
vacation and played golf.
Yes! Yes. How many times have I had to post the fucking comparison between George Bush and Barack Obama's vacation
For
days?
6 months after he got memos that saying that you probably be attacked by planes. Oh, good. I'm going to Crawford.
So, but
You
it's
want
like
to work on this.
He was
It's
working
like-
in Crawford. He had a cell phone there.
Yeah.
But doesn't that drive you nuts? Like the people on the right, it's like there's enough good reason,
Yeah.
and you don't have to invent. You don't have to invent that.
You don't have to
panels.
take the picture of Barack Obama saluting the flag and flip the image so he's doing it with his left hand. Like, this president doesn't even know how to... Like, guys, you just took the picture and you flipped it. That's really bad.
But like for the healthcare bill, like there's enough bad stuff. That's basically a
We
giveaway.
can let it stand on its own
It's a-
and not have to touch it.
No, I'm saying, isn't it? There's enough bad stuff in there to legitimately criticize. You didn't have to invent stuff like death panels. I think there's a lot. There's good stuff in there, but there's a lot of. It's basically a giveaway to the pharmaceuticals and the.
They're getting
insurance
more
companies.
We need a
Getting more
little. We
customers.
need a little death panels. Have you
Yeah.
seen the roads here?
Yeah, I like
But
it.
that's what drives me nuts. It's like, it's like, can't we just agree on the same reality? Why do you guys have to invent this? Why do you say he's a socialist when the guy won't even stand up to Wall Street? It's just like, there's just enough. Can't we just have rational discussions? And that's why I think drives me crazy.
My friend David tries to get rational within the context of this whole argument about the cops. He says Congress is in charge of the federal budget. The president executes the will of the Congress. The
that's
city
not
of
true.
Boston is in charge of Boston police salaries. That's my understanding anyway. I don't know if that's his
Okay, so
understanding.
I just explained to him that, cities and states their budgets are, because they have to have a balanced budget, right? They can't run a deficit like the federal government, but the federal government can. So in times of economic downturn, the government's supposed to step in and provide stimulus. We all know austerity doesn't work. So the Republicans at the federal level are for austerity. So that's how it affects police at a local level.
Exactly. They didn't cover it. Walker went through this in Wisconsin. There were many firemen and
Yes.
cops that wanted him ousted. And,
But trust me, Carlos wasn't thinking of that when he wrote it. He was just sticking.
No,
he was just
that's
he
what
was
I
just
do.
swatting.
See,
he was just swatting
I
a
came in
hornet's
here at
nest.
the end.
And
Yeah, I
Vince,
swa-
like an
and then I
idiot,
go
was
away.
going out for a picnic
Yeah.
and saw the hornet's nest.
Wasp
and I was
spray,
trying.
29 feet.
I was trying.
But don't you get afraid that you look like every once in a while I get afraid I look like a maniac on Facebook. Like when I'll get
Face back. I like that. Face back mountain.
Facebook.
I'm going to fuck you with ugly comments.
But do you ever get like when you were in it with that woman, or she's not a woman, Lori, and you went back and forth? Like, do you ever get afraid?
Well,
like,
it's interesting that you bring that up because I think about it all the time. My wife is a high school teacher, so she has a certain audience, which we try and keep. And I owned a business where I taught children, and I have a lot of people in the community that still I'm friends with and look up to me. And, I say hello to in church and all those other things. So I really do try and watch my P's and Q's, and I think it's important. And that's the way I was brought up, and that's what I want to try. Now, I can flip that switch really easy. Carlos knows that. He's driven with me.
Yeah. Good for you. I like that.
Because that's the way you were brought up. Go ahead.
Well, you have to let it go. But there's, once you really lose an argument once you lose control, once you lose your temper. And it's a lesson that most of
it's
us.
a hard lesson.
Well,
to
it's to
learn.
know when
Yes.
to be angry at the right time, with the right intention, and to the right degree. Like the anger's not bad in all situations, but in most of them they are.
Yeah, when you start an argument with "you libtards" or the reverse, "you repubes," then I'm done. You started.
I call them teabaggers. Is that bad?
It is.
It is. It's as bad as libtards. And
It's not that
Carlos,
bad. It's not
let's,
libtards.
Pubes. I haven't heard that one.
Let's let our fantastic guest plug their
Plug where you're going to be.
projects.
What do you do, Jim? And
Oh, so this
stuff?
Saturday I'll be headlining the Improv in Hollywood, California. Saturday,
All right.
8 p.m. Please come see that, and you can check out the Jimmy Dore Show, which talks about all this stuff. And we do sketches, comedy sketches on it too. So that's the Jimmy Dore Show, and Steph is the host. Tell them what you do.
Hey, I'm the host of Comedy and Everything Else with Jimmy, and you can see me at Flappers in Claremont, I think, the weekend of Cinco de Mayo.
May 3rd and 4th, I'll be with you there. Up at
March 15th, the Federal. I'll be doing stand-up comedy, ladies and gentlemen. And Vince, what are you up to?
Hey, I'm judging a black belt test this Saturday at my karate studio. But thanks for joining us on the Facebook Wars. Please check us out on iTunes.
Subscribe.
Thank you for joining us. God bless.
God bless.
Searching for light of darkness of insanity. I ask myself,